Hey all, this is Brett Sullivan. 2020 Namm is upon us, and I'm an endorsee and demo artist at Namm, but I thought I might share some of my experiences with you to help you maximize Namm as a first-time attendee or as a demo artist or maybe as a diehard Namm buyer or seller. There's always advice, always tips that one person can give to another, and I figured I'd share with you mine. So, traveling. Southwest is the airlines of my choice. I'm coming from a long distance. If you're lucky to be in the state of California and just drive, well, that's a different story. When I travel, I always choose Southwest because of this. Instruments get let on board with usually virtually no complaints. If you do have a problem and you're getting on an airline and you're a musician or you're taking on a small instrument that you refuse to let out of your sight for good reason, I'll tell you in a minute, then you definitely need to remind them of FAA Aviation Act of 2012. Look that up if you want more details. That was definitely part of the legislation that secured that musicians and people who travel expensive instruments that don't want to stow them below the plane, it's in your favor. For sure to remember that fact. So FAA Aviation Act 2012. If you have a small travel guitar like I prefer to play, then that makes it much easier to get on the plane and find a small space to stow it. Also, if you're traveling and you have a laptop or you have an iPad, something like that is going to take up a little bit of space, but not much. We have companies now that make amazing cases that actually accommodate your laptop and iPad. So one of the reasons I choose that guitar is not only the beautiful tones and playability, but the quality from the guitar to the gig bag itself is made for those who are on the go all the time. I honestly, if I had some hard cases and I wanted to throw those aboard the plane in the belly of the plane, I wouldn't do it because I have too many horror stories of friends losing instruments simply by not showing up at the next stop. So let's talk about traveling and then talk about how you dress. Very important that you remember that luggage can arrive 2 days later. This has happened to me. So what I do is I also take advantage of that extra space in my gig bag or laptop bag. I have some type of thin, silky fold-up shirt, maybe some undergarments, so that I don't arrive at my demo or gig in Anaheim, California without an extra outfit. This happened to me one year, had no luggage, waited several days, thought I'd never see all my cool clothes and jeans and shoes again. They arrived 3 days later, but I was doing the gig in the same outfit and washing it over and over. So this time I learned the hard way. I'll take some boots, don't mind wearing those a couple days in a row. Took a couple of pairs of jeans, really skinny jeans that I folded up and were thin. So all sorts of little tips that nobody thinks of or may not have thought of that you experience the hard way, they can be useful in going and traveling any gig, not just Namm 2020. But we have some unique positions at Namm. We have demo artists, we have people who are walking around for the first time, and then we have the experienced Namm buyers, we call those. Those are the people who go out and represent the companies and build the product themselves. Everybody shares the same thing. They get sore, they get tired, and that is just awful. When you need 4 days to see the Namm, and you still possibly can't, it's still impossible to see all the products and see all the great technology that's out there in 4 days. Your body is it's gonna take a toll on your body. So here's how we deal with that. If you don't eat healthy or you don't go to bed early, this might be the time to start doing that. I always recommend buying some healthy snacks, some type of fruit. You can fit this in a case or you can fit this in a travel bag, and you can save a lot of money that way. We all know that food on the Namm floor is very expensive. Any public event, sporting event, you're going to pay quadruple for drinks. You're going to pay quadruple for food. So why do this to yourself, especially a musician traveling in a budget and you want money left over maybe to buy some cool new tech or pedals. All right. So for you musicians out there that have gone many times, still, some of you don't wake up, until 2 o'clock or maybe 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you're up. If you can get up early, there's a great Namm breakfast, Anaheim Convention Center. There's the Hilton Hotel. If you're not a resident there, you're not staying there, then what you do is you head over to the hotel and you get the breakfast. Very informative. A lot of cool guest speakers there talking about stuff that musicians normally don't think about, which is how to market yourself or grow your business. It's targeted at people who buy and sell instruments, but man, the last couple of years I've been there, they've had social media marketing experts, and we could all use more of that, right? So I find that very useful and worth getting up early for. It's a free breakfast, shaves off a lot of dough instead of spending all that on snacks and junk food. So I find that advice, good time to get in shape or good time to start dieting, or at least eat healthy fruit and vegetables and drink lots of water. I find that advice useful to anybody, whether you're an experienced Namm attendee or first-time newbie, because 4 days takes a toll on you, and this is like walking around a big city over and over again, trying to see all the gear and tech. So talking about gear and tech, I like to travel with these small guitars, but there are a lot of companies putting out them, such as Kiesel, we have Strandberg, we have several other great companies making headless guitars that to me can fight against, you know, the best guitar any day. And although people don't like the shape or the look of them, I like how they play. And traveling, it's a no-brainer. So guitars to look out for this year. This is the Osiris. I heard Kiesel's coming out with a new X8, 7, and 6 string series. A really cool new shape. I've got my trusty DV Mark here. I'd like to thank them for years of support. This is my DV Mark 12 jazz amp. Let's talk about, as a demo artist and as a musician, what companies want to see from you on the floor. Even as an up-and-coming a student or a novice playing guitar that would like to be part of professional demo world, this is my advice to you. So when we're in the arena, music sounds great loud. It's quite the opposite at Namm demo. And I'd like to use my jazz experience playing acoustic music almost at an acoustic volume when I play jazz for the demos at Namm. Much more effective to play clean when you're playing at a low volume to be very effective as a demo artist. A lot of times when I hear artists out there trying to shred away a tiny amp with a lot of distortion is going to get lost and nobody's going to hear your creative notes. So another reason I'd like to bring up the company that I get the demo for. Eventide. We have an H9, we have an H9 Max and Core. Between these two pedals and their amazing algorithms, reverb, effects, delays, crystals, stars, all those shimmering sounds, we have some really cool built-in overdrives that I use carefully. We're trying to feature the sounds of the algorithms here. Be looking for us at Eventide booth 7017 Hall C to hear more about that. Another cool product, this is what I always keep married to the H9s, is the SB-H9 by Mission Pedals. These guys are amazing company, great group of people. And of course this pedal out of the box plugs in, turns on, has a light, and of course you can see what you're doing when you edit with the software. I always program this to do crazy pitch whammy, or I program it to control the panning and control how much delay or reverb I use in an algorithm. People to watch out for, Morningstar MIDI pedals, MC6. Look at the size of this. This is 6 programmable presets to do whatever you want, and they have an easy interface on your computer laptop that you can program while you're creating. They have an MC8 now for those people like myself who need 8 presets, and they're going to be looking for them at the Namm Morningstar MIDI pedal, world's smallest MIDI pedal and most powerful, I believe, too. Tempo Audio, if you haven't heard about these guys, they make the coolest board. From fly board like this to the giant size boards. All I know is that if you wanted a nice, neat board, this modular system like this in the past, it cost way more than these guys charge. And it's available at most of the popular music vendors, Guitar Center, Musician Friend, that type of thing. You have to purchase a few components separately. I believe that you have type of like a, effects bay here. This is like the old style patch bay. It helps you connect your pedals. And of course, Eventide's color even matches. So I wanted to give a shout out to Eventide because I'll be doing demos every day with those guys. Demo artists may also find themselves in a booth where they're, or you may find yourself at any gig. You may fly out to a gig in your unfamiliar situation. You got your guitar, you don't have your amp. You don't even have your pedals. If there's one pedal could you take, one pedal could you take, what pedal you could take? Yeah. This is in real time, no editing, kids, so I'm not editing out any mistakes. Just gonna talk. SP compressor by Exotic. So years ago, small footprint pedals started making the service. So I've had this about 7 years now. So not only is this pedal a compressor pedal, but it might be the only pedal that you ever need. Now you have to be the type of musician and guitar player, bass player that can make anything work. I'm not saying it's magic. But in the case of a jazz gig, I might just want to push a little more mid-range out of the amp. I use this pedal subtly, it's great. If you have an amp that's kind of got a little bit of breakup, it's not on a full-on distortion for you to get the sustain and the drive you want, I usually take this pedal rather than another overdrive over an overdriven amp. And in the case of an amp that has enough distortion and gain, you probably wouldn't need it. However, because it's so transient, and in the case of a really like awesome metal thrash gig where you're kicking around, it's got a lot of weight to it, so you can kick this thing and nothing's going to happen to it. So just one of the interesting pedals that I like to take with me when I have nothing else to take. Esprit pedal by Exotic. I've been taking it to Namm for the last 6-7 years since I purchased it, and it's still amazing to this day. And of course, if you have small print pedal itis and you need lots of this, lots of these type of small pedals, you know what to do. I've got a couple cool guitars here. We're representing Brubaker guitars as always. This is a Floyd Rose guitar that's got the EVH paint job on it. We did this ourselves. A couple of Kiesels back here, but I will be keeping my eye out as always for the ever-growing Headless Guitar Society. That's what I like to talk about. Those headless guitars are made amazing, and when it comes to travel, boy, I can't get enough. A lot of times at local gigs, I'm pulling up to the local gig maybe 20 minutes early with a little bit of time to practice. I'll keep the car running, put the AC on, and review my parts in the car, and inconspicuously put my guitar in the back and go to the gig. All right, so we've basically summarized a few of the things that are going to happen at Namm for you. Everybody's path is different, but I do know one thing is we're always looking for new products. So we talked about Eventide pedals. We have the Mission Engineering pedal that I was mentioning, the Morningstar Looper pedals. What are we going to say about them? Well, they're amazing. They're out there. I've been part of the Beat Buddy company, which is really called Singular Sound. You can look for them out there, and they're going to have the amazing new Eros Looper. I had a chance to preview that earlier this year. DV Mark has always got some interesting new products, and of course, one of our main sponsors. When it comes to Namm badges, you need to get there early. You need to avoid those long lines. I had a demo last year. Demo was at 11:30 a.m., 11, 12, that type of thing. I arrived thinking I'm going to get my badge about 9:30, walk over to the demo, get to work. Wrong. Namm has become an entire city. It's almost becoming its own country now. The lines were so long, it was impossible for me to get my badge on time and make the demo in time. Had I not gone and begged a Namm operative to let me in the line, cut the line and get my badge. So this year I'm making plans to get my badge the night before. You can get your Namm badge outside the Hilton Anaheim. There's a couple of locations, I think, in the hotels. And then, of course, there's a main location in front of the convention center itself. I always plan to do my trip so that I arrive Tuesday or Wednesday. If this is not in your budget to stay that many days, then definitely for sure you want to have all these things planned out, including the best airlines, including a smooth trip, and then ensuring that you get your badge there in time. You're going to have to wake up early. What I recommend for the people that fly from the north, especially where it snows, get there on Wednesday, because I've had twice out of many of the Namms I've been to, flights canceled just because for some reason a plane that has to be where I am and down in South Florida is stuck in New York because of snowstorms. And then I have many friends that get stuck days after because they can't fly back. So just little things to make the Namm trip more enjoyable, smooth, and of course, as a musician who's traveling all the time, this is advice and this is experiences that we like to share all the time that help make your experience better. Products to watch out for. So a couple of people that I've been working with that work with different companies, BC Rich, been keeping an eye on them a long time, made a new announcement about guitars this year. For you people looking for that not so expensive guitar that feels expensive, check out Chapman. I've played them off and on when I head into some of the local music stores, and they seem pretty amazing for the price. And I recommend for my students that can get themselves to the Namm show as a first timer, make sure you're hashtagging and make sure you're putting plenty of pictures and videos of you playing the guitars and pedals and products. Companies are interested in young people right now that are really using the product. If you can't afford it and you're looking for endorsement, best way to start is talk about your experience as a young student studying and using their product, because there's no age limit right now as far as beginners to mature players who can endorse products. But Namm is the best way to give it a shot. So any advice or anything that you thought I should have talked about that I didn't, subscribe, hit me up, send me a direct message, and we'll talk about it in a future video. Looking forward to being one of the demo artists for several products at Namm 2020, and we'll talk soon. Brev Sullivan out.